Anatomy and physiology are two major branches in the medical field because they deal with the functions and structures of all living organisms. So, first I'm going to cover anatomy. So, anatomy is what and where in the organism and the form of parts of the organism. So, the definition of anatomy is a branch of morphology that deals with the structure of organisms and their structural makeup. And morphology is a branch that of biology that deals with the form of living organisms and the relationship between their structures. And although it doesn't have to be living organisms, because this science can also be applied to technology to basically like build robots and things of that nature. Now I'm going to move on to physiology. So physiology is how and why things work, so the function. And the definition of physiology is a branch of biology that deals with the normal functions of living organisms and their parts. And some career paths that could fall under this is an evolutionary psychologist and a pharmacology, immunology, and an applied psychologist. Although these two sciences ask really broad questions, there are some sciences that just don't fall under either category, like kinesiology, I don't know how to say that, and neurosciences. Now I'm going to move on to body parts. So, first I'm going to start with anatomical regions. So these are used obviously to identify certain parts of the body, and so I'm going to go through all of them. These are all of the anatomical regions. I would go through every individual one, but that would make my video extremely long. Next, I'm going to go into body cavities and serous membranes. A body cavity is any space or compartment or potential space in the animal body, and they usually hold things such as organs. And the different cavities are the cranial cavity, the dorsal cavity, the thoracic cavity, the spinal cavity, the ventral cavity, the abdominal cavity, the abdominopelvic cavity, and the pelvic cavity. Now, the serous membranes are tissues that provide lubrication within these cavities, and they come in layers. So first is the parietal, which is the wall, and then there's serous fluid, and then around each organ there's a visceral layer. So next we have terms. So these terms are used to give accurate directions, and first I'm going to start with directional terms. And now we have the anatomical position, which is with your palms facing forward, and the transverse plane is the top and the bottom, and it cuts about right here. And the frontal plane, it cuts you into front and back, so like down the middle. And then the sagittal plane is it cuts you in half. These are the directional terms which ensure doctors and technicians have a shared method of communicating, and this helps avoid confusion when pinpointing structures and describing location of lesions. Now for the movement terms. So first we have abduction, which is movement away from the midline, and then adduction is towards the body, and then bending and straightening is bending and straightening, like flexion and extension are the technical terms though. Then we have medial rotation, which internally goes inwards, and then lateral rotation goes outwards, and supination is palms facing upwards, and pronation is hands facing downwards. And there are a lot of other really technical terms, like certain movements for the ankles and things of that nature, but these are just the examples that I decided to share.